Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Welcome to the show today. One of my favorite shows is always when we have co-host Vince Perrotta on. Welcome to the show, Vince.
Hi there.
How are you?
Really good. How about you?
I'm good. Are you ready to light everybody up with some verbal caffeine and possibilities?
I am, but you know what? It's kind of like we're coming, it's almost around the bend for the year. This is always that time where I start to think about, wow, I can't believe the year is almost over.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how we always say how quickly, it must be an age thing. We're like, oh, the year went so quickly, but it does. It goes quickly, right?
It does. And it's like you have that thing where you're, okay, I'm rushing to kind of do the things I need to do. We're, coming up on the holidays, and then I'm thinking about next year, but there's a lot that went on this year. It was a busy year and kind of, a little reflective as well.
Yeah. So that's why I do this thing every year, the same time of year. It just passed, but it's called Dream Big. And what it is it gets us dreaming. First, we celebrate, and we're going to why don't we walk everybody through it today? First, we're going to celebrate what we've done and our accomplishments in 2023, looking at our wins or what plagued us more. We just really want to open ourselves to get into that yumminess of appreciating what we've done and really recognizing it. We don't do enough of that. We take our wins for granted. We take what we do well for granted, and we focus on all those negatives and beat ourselves up. So I'm going to say, don't do that. Let's just look at the things and feel free to just really open yourself up to look at what you did really well, what you could come back to and maybe do better, what you want to bring into next year and what you want to release from this year. And that's what I do in the Dream Big Masterclass. And then we go into starting to dream big for 2024, for our next year. We want to start that process of thinking what we want. We don't want to set the goals yet because it's too soon, but we want to start thinking about it so that we know what we're going to be doing. And that's why I do my visioning and goal setting the first Friday of January every year. That's when we sit down and we really set those goals.
It's a really good timeline. It kind of gives you the retrospective of, hey, what did we like? What did we do really well? Because I agree. One of the biggest things I'll ask people when I'm in a coaching session is, tell me something you like. What did you do in that situation that went well, right? Because we always, like you said, it was perfect. We beat ourselves up. Got to do that before you can go forward. Got to do it now.
Yeah. And I want to start first. I want to clarify something. People talk about goals all the time. What are goals? Goals are merely the what you'll accomplish, right? That's all it is. So let's just take the pressure off of it. It's just the what you want to accomplish. The action plans are simply the how you're going to accomplish the what you want to accomplish. So if we're thinking of goals of what we've accomplished this year and start celebrating that, I want us to think about wow, I can't believe I did all that. That's what we want to get into. We want to really look at 2023 and look back and what did we accomplish? So the first question I always ask is, what are your biggest triumphs? So can you think of anything that was a triumph for you in 2023 that you were like, wow, I cannot believe that I did that?
Yeah, I can. There was a training program that I put together with some of my colleagues, and we took people who didn't have certain skills in training, and we feel really good because we can actually measure their success. We can see the improvements, and that made us feel really great. It's very funny because, to your point earlier, while we did that, until this moment, I haven't, and neither of they are in our group meeting, we've never reflected on what we accomplished. We always talk about, all right, we need to do this better. This has got to change. Here's something else we don't catch our breath and say, hey, wait a second. We did a lot of things really well. What were they? Because you want to replicate the good stuff, right? I think that's the one thing. And at least for me, don't we want to always make sure that the good things continue? We always talk about what the changes, but what good things did we do?
Rinse and repeat. And the changes are just making it better. Maybe there's another level, and maybe it's perfect the way it is. And that's part of the celebration is this where we want it? And can we make it better? And oh my God, but we need to celebrate what we actually did. We take it for granted. Not everybody does what you do, whatever that is. And you did it well. So take your hands, reach it up in the air, put it over your back and pat yourself on the back because you did good. You really, really did good. So for me, it was shifting my owning other people's issues. I shifted from that. I would more easily recognize what's not my issue to focus on, but it's something they have to focus on. I'll totally be supportive of what they have to focus on. But I was owning too much of other people's stuff. So it's a you issue, it's a me issue kind of a thing. It's really knowing the difference between what I'm responsible for and what someone else is responsible for. Doesn't mean you can't be there to support somebody and lift them up. It just does mean that you need to know that you don't have to own it and solve the problem. Because I know, like you, I'm a problem solver. So I automatically be like, what did you try? Did you try that? Nope, zip it, let them solve it,
You make a great point. Actually, my daughter taught me that very, very colorfully. She said to me, Dad, when I tell you something, I don't want you to always solve the problem. Sometimes I just want you to let me kind of share with you and air it out so I can kind of give you what I'm thinking. And in all truth, I said to her, honey, I'm sorry, I don't know how to differentiate. So help me out. Like, tell me when you want me to listen and not problem solve. And it does make a big difference. And it's a really important fact that you just pointed out.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing how people process, and when it comes out of our mouths, it sounds so different than when it's in our head. So having that sounding board, some people might refer to it as, having that ability to speak it out loud changes everything. And knowing that you're saying it to someone who is trusted is really important too. So you don't want to just blurt it out in the middle of a train station necessarily. You may, but I wouldn't. But it's real important. And that's what she's saying. It's like, I don't want you to solve the problem. I just want to talk it through, and having somebody that is trusted to do that with. And you're very good at that too. You're very good. What brought you the most joy this year in 2023?
It was probably the personal. This is a huge year. My first grandchild was born, and my grandson brought me enormous joy.
Yeah, and I love the way you smile when you say that because he's a little squishy bear, and I think it's great. Yeah, and by the way, everybody who's listening, do this along with us. I'd like to write these down and do it for yourself because it really does help this process, and you'll understand more when you go through it. The most joy for me is my son got engaged, and he did it over in Italy, so I'm really excited about that. And she said yes.
Was there ever a doubt? Come on, great.
So in 2023, looking back, what smart decisions did you make? I'm sure you made lots of them, but what,
No, actually, it's easy to pick this because I only made a few. But the smartest thing I did was actually decide I was going to expand my business, and I had brought somebody in, and I decided that I was not going to do that because I wanted to train that person, make sure they had all my support and attention as appropriate. And then I put off expanding my business to next year. And I was really proud of that because I really wanted to do it for the last 3 years. And I had everything, but it wouldn't have been fair to the person I brought on. So I think that was my best decision because it worked out well. I got somebody really great. And that's one of the things they talk about is that I'm available to help.
Wow. And you made a really good point. You really had to put your stuff on the back burner. Yep. Not only is that selfless and smart, but you opened up other opportunities by doing that. So it was thoughtful consideration. How did you get to that point? What made you make that pivot? It's really brilliant.
I think that the biggest thing for me was just thinking about, it took me a while. I subscribed to, hire slowly and ask, help people leave quickly because you want to get the right people in the right seats. And I really wanted to make sure that I gave this individual a fair opportunity to have access to my knowledge, to tap me for, hey, let's do this together. And I did a lot of that, which was, if there was a question, let's do it together. Come on and sit down with me. Or, hey, you know what? Let me pull up a chair. We'll do this together. It helped build my relationship. It helped to build our trust. So that meant a lot to me because what I do requires a lot of trust.
And it's funny that you say that too. It also, one thing you didn't point out, it also had you have to think about or get to think about what your actual process was. Because sometimes we do things automatically, right? We just do it because that's what we've done. And it makes you look at the process and may even tweak your own process. Did you find any of that coming through?
100%. There were a number of things that I looked at critically and said, you know what, this is how we've done it, but we can do this a little differently now. Let's try this. And we did come up with some new processes. And the interesting thing was it also became an opportunity for us to reach out to others, to involve them in the process. So we shared our learning, they shared their process. Everybody kind of benefited. It kind of expanded that network. And the new person that I have actually commented and said it was so great because always felt like she had support from different people and never felt like kind of adrift. But somebody who had started at the same time commented that they didn't feel they had that safety network to help make the transition to the new.
Yeah, you provided resources, even if that wasn't your intention. It was an unintentional source that you provided. And that's why this kind of process is really important, especially around this type of year, to set yourself up for success for next year. Love that. It's one of my favorite questions, by the way, smart decisions, because people are like, oh, my decisions are smart. Really? Are you sure? Because I know mine aren't always smart. And looking back.
The good decisions stand out because, I don't think there are that many. You try your best, though.
I had a really good smart decision, which, I had a couple of nice ones, but I bought out my lease for my Lexus. And that was a really smart decision. One, I knew Lexus was coming to me because I had such low mileage on my car and they wanted that car back and they would have done anything to put me in a new car. And I was like, no, financially it makes more sense. The car doesn't have a lot of mileage on it. I love the car. So I bought that out. So that was my smart decision. What was your favorite purchase in 2023?
Oh, I have to think about that. I don't think I have a favorite. How about you? Do you have a favorite purchase? Because
my Lexus. My favorite purchase. Every time I look at her, it makes me smile because I love that car. It just rides nice. She treats me well. I love the what do you call it? The dealership that I go back just to get the oil change from. So I love them. They take good care of it. It's a great product. It's a good company. I'm thrilled. I was a BMW girl for years. You know that. I drove a couple of BMWs and somebody said, go look at the Lexus. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I did. And I was just, I'm sold. Sorry, BMW. I'm sold.
The opinions expressed are not necessarily.
That's so funny. Yeah, that was my favorite. And you can't think of a favorite purchase, huh?
You know what? I'm not, I'm not looking for things, but I get greater enjoyment and pleasure out of things that I do, right? Mm-hmm. Than things that I buy. Favorite
acquisition then, to change the question, would be the new person that you're working with.
Absolutely. Unequivocally. Yeah, unequivocally. It's, it was really, it took me a while to find somebody. And the greatest feeling is not only finding and hiring, but it's 6 months later when you look at it and do you go, God, that was great. And I can honestly say, yeah, very happy.
Yeah. Well, you're very good at hiring anyway. So if anybody ever needs somebody to hire people, you should call up Vince because he's awesome at it. Very meticulous. What'd you learn about yourself in 2023 looking back?
I learned that I don't have to do everything.
That's huge. That says a whole lot because it also says that you're also releasing. That means you're releasing control and you're allowing other people to do some of the stuff and you're finding your wheelhouse and your value in sitting in that wheelhouse as opposed to doing everything.
That is, I really want to comment on that because it is my value. I ended up doing more of what I love, which was more valuable to the people that work with me. And they saw it and I appreciate it because I enjoyed it. So I just poured myself into it. And it's what I'm good at. The stuff that I let go of.
Yes. And you spend more time in the yummy part because you're good at it because it brings you joy and it's your strengths, and strengths are merely things that we feel most comfortable with. Our weaknesses, we're not as comfortable there. So it doesn't give us as good of a feeling. It's not a bad thing. It just is. So I think that's great. I love that. I absolutely love that. Let's see. Learn about yourself. Myself, I think allowing myself to show my vulnerabilities and yet I can still be strong, and learning that balance is that I can still be vulnerable and show, not Superwoman, although I think I am sometimes, but it's more like Wonder Woman. But